In this video we're going to learn how to use 2D design to create some basic shapes and to colour in objects and maybe to add on a few dimensions. Now to do that you're going to complete a worksheet. So the very first thing that we're going to do is to locate the worksheet in the shared area. So here's where we go. We go Start, All Programs, Student Shared Area, Design Technology, and you go into Documents, double click on Student Resources. That's a little bit like a library, and we're going to go into Year 7 USB. Double click on that, and the file that we're going to get up is this one, Year 7 CAD Drawing Skills. So double click on that. Now when it opens up, the first thing you've got to do is click on the yellow box at the top to enable editing. Now that that's done, let's zoom out a bit so we can see what we can see the full page. Now the first thing that we're going to do is to put our name and DT group in the box at the top. So type your name in there, and we're also going to put our group, which is 7 whatever it is. I'm going to say W1 Team A. Okay, now at that point, before we do any more work on it, we need to save it. So we're going to go Save As. Really important to do Save As because we're saving it into our documents even though we've taken it from the shared area. So we go Save As. We need to put our name on here, so after that we're going to put our name, and when we've put a name at the end we then need to come up onto the left hand side and make sure that it's being saved into your documents library. Alright, and there you'll see all of your normal documents in there. So we'll save that now, and just to check that it's there, if we go Start and Documents, you should see the file is in your documents. If it's not there, save it again before you carry on. So now we're going to follow this worksheet and complete the task. So read the instructions carefully, complete each task using the relevant tools, copy and paste it into the space. The method is explained for you here for each one, so just got to follow the method. And to get started, this is how we open up the program. So it's Start, All Programs, Departmental Student Software, Design Technology, 2D Design V2. So we're going to go Start, All Programs, Departmental Student Software, Design Technology, 2D Design V2. Now as soon as it opens up you can just click anywhere on the page and that will disappear. Let's go back in and have a look at this. Tasks 1 to 3 you should use Gridlock to draw your shapes, and when we draw them and we've completed each task, we are then going to copy the shape using the select tool. We're going to drag a box around it, making sure that we select everything inside the box, because anything that's hanging around outside the box will not be selected. Alright, so this green stuff here is inside the box. Anything hanging outside the box will not get selected. And I've left some selection tools on here. When you select an object, these are the things that you can do with it. You can flip it, resize it, rotate it, copy it, move it, etc. So these are handy little things to know if you've got something selected. Right, let's get started. So the first thing we're going to do is go to Gridlock to switch that on for tasks 1 to 3 on this page. So in 2D design, Gridlock is over here. What that means is that whenever we draw anything, it's going to snap to the points on this grid, these little dots. So our first task is going to be to make a red square 40 by 40 millimeters, and then copy and paste it into this space. So we've got Gridlock on. First thing we do is go to Shapes, and we click when we're ready to start. You can see it's locking onto the grid points now. We click to start, and then pull them out, drag out with the mouse, and then when you're ready to finish, click again. Now the way that we know that it's going to be 40 by 40 is by looking at the bottom of the page down here where it says relative distance. So from when we started at 0, it's gone 10, 20, 30, 40 in both directions. Okay, so that tells you how big your square is going to be. And when it's at 40 by 40, you click to finish. Now, this square needs to be red. So to make it red, what we do is select it and go fill, make it solid red. OK and OK. So now that we've got that, now let's have a look at the next bit. We now need to go on to dim lines and click each end, click and pull out to put some dimensions on it to show that it's 40 by 40. So what we do is go to dim lines here. Incidentally, each shape, each drawing tool rather, has got other options below it. You just need to click and hold. So this is a normal parallel dimension, but if you wanted to put specific radius or different direction dimensions on, then we click and hold the mouse button to show the ones underneath. So this one will do for this job. We click one corner, come over to the other corner and click, and then pull out and locate where we're going to leave our measurement. So click, click, pull out and click. So now we've completed that task. Now what we've got to do is copy and paste it and put it into this worksheet. So to do that, we're going to use select. Remember, everything inside, so we click and drag, everything inside the box will get selected. Anything that is left outside the box will not be selected. So we want to select everything in there and go edit, copy, and then we go into our sheet and pick anywhere on the page and right click to paste picture, and that's our first task complete. For the next one, we're going to create a green L shape. So a green L shape, we're going to click on shapes, we're going to make some horizontal and vertical rectangles overlapping each other, trim the bits where they overlap, and then fill it in with green using boundary fill. So we are going to get a rectangle, click and drag. So there's my vertical rectangle. Click and drag another one from the corner to make a horizontal rectangle. Now those are crossing over, we want to get rid of these two little lines here. So we're going to click and hold on delete to get delete part of a line. Click, and you'll see you've used the delete part of the line to delete those intersections. Now we can fill it in with some green. Now on the first one we just selected it and went to fill. We can't do that because this is made up of two different objects, so we can't just select it and say fill, because it won't work. What we can do though is use boundary fill, which is here. So click on boundary fill, tell it that we want to fill it in with green, OK, and then we click just inside the line that we're going to fill. So you can see it's going to fill in that pink bit, and it says any islands. We don't want any islands, so we say no, and that's been filled in. The final thing that we can do is add a few dimensions on it, just like we did with the first one. Oops. So click, click, pull out and click, 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 pull out and click. You don't have to do it, but it's quite a good habit to get into, to put dimensions on, just so that you know that you've done it the right size. And then we can select it, drag a box around it, edit copy, and go into your PowerPoint and edit paste. Now if it's a bit big, you can resize it. When you resize it, you must make sure that you resize it from the corners, never from the sides or the top, because it loses its proportions. Okay, so always resize it from the corners like that. Next one is task 3, and that's going to be a hatch-filled, rounded, cornered rectangle. So we're going to start by creating a rectangle shape, and then we're going to use the filleted arc to round off the corners. So we get a rectangle, click to start, pull it out and click to finish, and then the arcs tool is here. If we click and hold on that, go all the way to the end to a filleted arc. You can set how big you want the round to be. A radius of 10 is about right. We click one line, click the other line, and that will round it off. Click, click. Again, if you double click it, you can change it if you want to make it 20 or something different. Click, 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 and click. Now then, we've rounded off the corners. Now what we want to do is to use the dimension lines, and then we're going to fill it in with a hatch. So our dimension lines shows us how big it is. So if we click, click, pull out and click, just like we did on the others. What we can also do with this one is we can use a different dimension. We can use the radius dimension here to show that these corners have got a radius of 20 and that one's got a radius of 10. Now the final thing to do is to use boundary fill again, like we just did on task 2. Instead of having a solid fill, we're going to have a hatch fill, and you can change the colour of that. Let's make that one purple, and you can change the line style if you really want to. You can have cross hatches, and you can change the spacing. And OK. So that's a cross hatch, and we're going to just click on the outline that we're going to fill in. Again, no islands in there, and that's ready. So now we can go to select, drag a box around it, go to edit, copy, and then paste with a right click in here. You can fill it in with whatever coloured hatch you want. You can make it whatever sizes you want, as long as it is a hatch filled rounded corner rectangle. It really doesn't matter what sizes you go for. Task 4, when you complete these, you might want to deselect the gridlock to give you a bit more freedom. So we're going to do that and switch gridlock off. Okay, gridlock can be very helpful, but it locks the dots to 1 centimetre apart, and that's not much use. For what we're going to do, we're probably better off using step lock, which uses 1 millimetre steps, or attach. So I'm going to put step lock on for this one, and for this task we're going to make a purple 5-sided star. So we're going to click on shapes, click and hold till we get a polygon, type in number 5, and then the rest of the instructions are on there. So click and hold. Any of these polygons will do. I'm going to go for that one. Type in 5, and then click to create our polygon. So there's our polygon. Now what we need to do is to get line and attach selected. I'm going to draw each second corner and then trim off the centres. So line is here, attach is over here. So we're going to attach a line. This little attach button will lock it onto the corners. So it's attached onto there, and I'm going to miss this one and go over to there. Click. Click there, miss that one, and click. Click there, miss that one, and click. So we're missing each other one until we've got a star. And the final thing that we need to do now is to use the delete part tool again, and we're going to trim those lines away that we don't need. And now we've got a star. All we need to do now is to fill it in. This one I'm going to fill in with solid purple. OK, and then no islands again, and that's ready to copy and paste. If you want to know how to use shortcuts, keyboard shortcuts, you can use Control C and Control V. So for this, instead of using edit copy, you can go and click on Control C and Control V with your keyboard. Control C, and then here Control V with your keyboard shortcuts. So that's task 4 complete. Now let's have a look at task 5. We're going to make some curved text. So to make curved text, the first thing you need is a curve. Now for this we're going to use a curve, an arc through 3 points, which is this one. So switch attach off, and we're going to go click once, click again for the center, and click again for the end. So we've created the path that we want our text to follow. We could create any shaped path, but because we're making curved text, we need to make a curved arc. Now we click and hold on the text button, and we want text along a path. Now what we do is click on the top part of the line, so it goes above the line rather than below it, and then you can put some text. Now you can change the font in settings, and you can change the size where it says height. Let's see what that looks like. That's pretty good. If you wanted to make the text bigger, we can select it and go to property and go to settings, and if we wanted to make that a bit smaller, we could change the height, or if you want to make it a bit bigger. It won't change the size of the path. So that's our curved text, and then we do the same thing, Control C and Control V. So we've got some curved text. Right, final task before you do task 7, where you can work on your own, is to trace the Apple logo. So for that, you're going to need to go online. You're going to need to get a picture of the Apple logo. Now I recommend that you get a plain coloured one on a white background, so something like that will be fine. When you find one, right click to copy it, and then go into 2D design and then paste here. Now what we're going to do on this one, I'm actually going to delete some of these now. What we can do here is we're going to trace over it. Right, so to trace over it, we're going to need a path tool, which is this squiggly line. So we're going to trace over it, and we want to try and trace it in about 10 clicks, 10 to 12 clicks. And we don't need to be too neat about it. So we're going to go, actually, I want a closed Bezier. So let's use this one, use a closed Bezier curve. We're going to make 10 to 12 clicks, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, about 11 should do the trick. Now that we've drawn that, it doesn't need to be neat, because we're going to select it and then go to Start Edit. Now what this does is it means that any shape that we create, we've got a bit of flexibility to go back in and edit it. And what you want to try and do is put all the orange points on the corners and then use the yellow points to kind of curve them back in to make them a bit more accurate. Right, now here I've got a bit of a problem, but I'm going to fix that in a second. There we go, so just move the points around, and what we can do if we zoom in, use the zoom in button, we've got a little bit of a problem here where I've got lines that are sort of got a bit twisted on themselves. So what I'm going to do is just move them back out. Like that. Again, if you want a bit of flexibility, switch step lock off. Right, and now we can see that those lines are following the curve just nicely. So if we end edit, I might even get rid of that one. If you want to delete a node, if you have too many, you can drag a box around it and delete it. And that'll probably make that look a little bit neater now. So when that's done, we end edit. We can do the same thing on the leaf before we fill it in. 1, 2, 3. Double click to finish, and then select it, start edit. Oops. Start edit. Put the orange ones on the corners. Didn't need to do that. And we're nearly there. That'll do. We can end edit, and now comes the fun bit. We've used boundary fill to fill these in with a solid colour and a hatch. Now we're going to fill it in with a graduated colour. So we can try and get it as close to some of these as we possibly can. We can change the angle. We can add some colours, maybe put a grey in there. We can add another colour, maybe put a purple in there or something. and you can keep going really. You can add as many different colours as you like. You might need to reposition them. Again, you can change the angle like that, and then click OK. OK again, and then click just inside your line, no islands, and again, no islands, and that's ready for us to copy. We can delete the Apple logo that we've traced over because we don't need it. And now we've got that one. It's even better than the original, so we can copy that and paste that into our sheet. Now what you've got to do, now that you've learnt the basics, is have a go at doing some of these. But I will show you very quickly how I can do some of these. Power on symbol is very simple. You put Gridlock on for this and get a circle. And you want 2 circles and 2 rectangles. So there's one circle and there's a rectangle. Let's just move that out into the centre. There's one rectangle, and then we have another one, and then we can use trim to trim the intersections off. If I had a bit more time I could have made that look even nicer, a bit more accurate, but that'll do for the time being. So there's my power on. We've got a smiley face, which is pretty simple. It's a circle and another circle. For this circle though, I'm going to stretch it to come in a bit, and then make a copy of that, and then we're going to use arc through 3 points, 1, 2, 3, and then 1, 2, 3. We know how to use boundary fill, so we're going to use that to make a nice bit of colour on there. You can use islands on this one because we've got bits that we don't want to fill in, so we can say yes to those. And we could fill the eyes and nose in with a black colour if you want to. So no islands on those. Now if at any point you want to change the colour of these, you can. You can just select the objects, change the colour, and it's done. So we can drag a box around that, Control C to copy, Control V to paste. So we've got a smiley face and a power button, and the rest is up to you. A heart, a yin and yang sign, a house, all sorts of fun stuff.